In the quiet hours of a Northern California morning, a voice that once echoed through offices, cubicles, and conference rooms around the world fell silent. Scott Adams, the creator of the comic strip Dilbert, died on January 13, 2026 at the age of 68. For decades, his work captured the frustrations, ironies, and quiet absurdities of modern work life, turning everyday office experiences into shared laughter for millions. Scott Adams did not begin his journey as an artist. He began it as an employee. Born in 1957 in upstate New York, Adams grew up with a fascination for systems. How things worked, how people behaved within organizations, and how logic often broke down when humans were placed inside rigid structures. That curiosity followed him into adulthood. He studied economics and engineering, eventually working as a corporate employee at Pacific Bell. Like many engineers, Adams found himself surrounded by procedures, policies, and management decisions that seemed disconnected from reality. It was there, inside the cubicle-lined hallways of corporate America, that Dilbert was born. At first, the drawings were casual. Doodles on paper. Simple characters with stiff expressions and exaggerated situations. Adams sketched during breaks and after work, pulling humor directly from meetings that went nowhere and bosses who spoke in buzzwords instead of clarity. He wasn't trying to create a cultural phenomenon, he was simply observing the world around him and translating it into ink. When Dilbert debuted in newspapers in 1989, it was immediately different. Unlike traditional comic strips filled with slapstick humor or family life, Dilbert spoke directly to working adults. It didn't punch down. It didn't romanticize office life. Instead, it exposed it, with dry wit, sharp timing, and uncomfortable accuracy. Dilbert himself was an everyman engineer, intelligent, competent, and perpetually trapped in a system that did not reward either quality. His boss, famously known as the pointy-haired boss, symbolized authority without understanding, a manager promoted upward despite obvious incompetence. And Dogbert, the cynical and manipulative canine, became a mirror for unchecked ego, ambition, and power. Office workers saw themselves in these characters. The jokes weren't exaggerated fantasies, they were reflections. Meetings with no agenda. Projects sabotaged by bureaucracy. Leaders who spoke confidently while knowing very little. Dilbert didn't just entertain, it validated shared frustration. By the mid-1990s, the strip had exploded in popularity. It appeared in more than 2,000 newspapers worldwide and was translated into dozens of languages. Dilbert calendars hung in cubicles. Panels were taped to office walls. Lines from the strip became part of workplace vocabulary. Scott Adams had tapped into something universal. He expanded his success beyond the newspaper page. Books like The Dilbert Principle became bestsellers, humorously arguing that incompetence often rises to leadership roles because it is moved out of productive positions. The book resonated deeply with workers who felt unheard, unseen, and misunderstood within large organizations. An animated Dilbert television series followed. Merchandise flooded offices and bookstores. Adams embraced the internet early, posting his work online and interacting directly with readers long before social media became mainstream. For a time, he stood as one of the most influential cartoonists of his generation. Yet even at the height of his success, Adams was never simply a humorist. He was analytical, opinionated, and deeply interested in persuasion, psychology, and power. Over time, that interest moved beyond cartoons and into commentary. In the later years of his career, Scott Adams became increasingly vocal on social and political topics. Through podcasts, live streams, and social media, he shared unfiltered opinions that sparked debate, and eventually backlash. While some followers admired his willingness to challenge consensus, others criticized his remarks as divisive or harmful. The tension reached a breaking point in 2023, when widely condemned statements led many newspapers to drop Dilbert from syndication. After more than 3 decades, the strip's presence in traditional media came to an abrupt end. For many readers, it was a jarring conclusion to a comic that had once felt universal and unifying. Adams responded defiantly, continuing to speak to his audience through online platforms. To supporters, he remained a fearless critic of modern culture. To critics, he had crossed lines that could not be ignored. His public image became inseparable from controversy, complicating how his earlier work was remembered. Behind the public debates, however, another story was unfolding. a far more personal one. In 2025, Scott Adams revealed that he had been diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer that had spread to his bones. The prognosis was grim. He spoke openly about his illness, his declining strength, and the reality of limited time. True to form, he approached the subject with blunt honesty rather than sentimentality. As months passed, his health worsened. By early January 2026, Adams entered hospice care at home, surrounded by family and close companions. In his final days, he prepared a farewell message for his audience, reflecting on a life he described as extraordinary, imperfect, and deeply fulfilling. When news of his death broke, reactions were mixed but intense. Some mourned the loss of a creator who gave voice to everyday workers. Others reflected critically on the controversies that defined his later years. Together, those responses painted a portrait of a man who was never simple to categorize. Scott Adams leaves behind a legacy that resists easy conclusions. He was a cartoonist who changed workplace humor forever, turning cubicle culture into art. He was an early digital pioneer who understood the power of direct communication long before it became standard. And he was a deeply polarizing public figure whose words sparked debate about responsibility, influence, and free expression. What remains undeniable is the impact of Dilbert. For decades, it captured something real: the quiet frustrations, small absurdities, and unspoken truths of modern work life. It made people laugh not because the jokes were outrageous but because they were familiar. In offices across the world, workers once glanced at a Dilbert strip and felt understood. In the end, Scott Adams' life mirrored his work: complex, controversial, sharp-edged, and impossible to ignore. His final panel has been drawn, but the conversations he started, about work, power, and human systems, continue long after the ink has dried.